Yes, the screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am. Just make it on
Hello.
full slide mode. Yes, ma'am, it is visible. You can just make it on full slide.
Yes, just a minute. Actually, it is not going on that slide mode. Already, I have shared that screen from my side.
Okay, madam.
Is
You can
this
continue. You can continue.
visible or not?
It is visible. Only thing is, it is not on the slide mode. If you want, I can share from my side.
Okay, okay.
Shall I share it from my side?
Okay, you can share from your side because yes,
Okay,
yes,
no problem.
sure.
No problem.
Okay. So yes, so good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. Yes, am I audible?
Yes,
Okay.
madam.
So as we all, yes, so as we all know, our 1 week AICT sponsored short-term course titled Healthcare Startup Evolution to Revolution is going on. So on the behalf of Pune College of Pharmacy, Bharati Vidyapeeth deemed to be university, I would like to introduce our today's session speaker, Dr. Santosh Gejage sir. So he is currently working as a founder and director in Novatra Laboratories Private Limited. It is a startup company, and his company delivered various type of commercial technologies to many industries, include extrusion method, and it is delivered to ACG Pharma Technologies Private Shirwal, Pune. It is a patented technology of his company. And the acyclovir topical creams to Muscat University Private Limited, Mumbai, as well as vitamin C formulation to Santosh Gejage His company prepared many stabilized formulation of proanthocyanidins and vitamin C, and also the novel actives for treatment of chronic venous insufficiencies. And these technology yet to be launched soon in the market. Yes, Vividha madam, please the next slide. Hello. Yes. So now Dr. Santosh Gejage and his career started from 2007. He has done his B.Pharm from Solapur University and his master's and PhD from ICT Mumbai. And after that, he has established in 2017 that Novatra Laboratories Private Limited with the vision of to advance the innovation of pharma across the globe with safe, efficacious, and sustainable pharmaceutical product which would be available to everyone in our India. He has a great expertization and skill knowledge in many fields, including R&D, and in R&D in which they have developed many nutraceuticals and worked a lot on the novel product designing and development. And they have handled various analytical instruments, including HPLC, LCMS, and SAM. And also they have handled various troubleshooting problems during their career journey in case of production and development of various pharmaceutical products. And also he has involved in various operation field, like the production coordinator he has worked, and he has worked as a packaging development coordinator. And also he has a good hand in management and marketing area also. And his key achievements are 45 B2C product category developed by him, and 18 commercial product launched by him, 17 offline market and 1 in online market, and 5 research articles published by him, and also 2 patents granted by him. So with this brief introduction, I would like to welcome, and I request to sir, please start your session. And before starting the session, just accept this bouquet as a token of appreciation from Pune College of Pharmacy. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, thank you, Vajbe madam, and respected Vice Principal, E.P. Pawar sir, whose books we were learned when we were in our graduation days, and he was our role model when I started my graduation days in 2007 at Pandharpur College. So in fact, his books was almost the guiding lines to me to do my career in specifically in formulation science. And in fact, I also welcome, and I also to respected Varsha Pokhar madam. I met you when you visited for 2 of the vivas of my seniors in the Patrawade madam's lab. Varsha madam, can you hear me? Yes, and I thanks the coordinator Vividha madam for coordinating this activity and lending me to this platform. And in fact, I'm a formulator particularly. And in fact, when I started my career in ICT, when I joined for my M.Pharm drug delivery science over there, in fact, my those days in my masters and PhDs, where I learned so many formulation skills, particularly. And when I done my particular that PGD CTM course, we were taught what are the legislations with respect to formulation and the medical products. So that foundation has helped me to start my career as an entrepreneur particularly. And in fact, it is my guide, Professor Purnima Amin, who encouraged me that we have so many startups that were coming from an IT sector. They're coming from fintech services, particularly. We have financial technologies companies, right? But it's turned to our pharma person to establish startups companies where the academic institutes like ICT, like Pune College of Pharmacy, and many other pharma institutes. Now they are, I see when I started 5 years back my journey to do something innovative, to do something that is required by the society. I was not doing any big, as per my knowledge, but I was resolving the problems that is currently faced by our medical fraternity, the doctors, the chemist, right? So with the help of our some of the legislations, right? So in this presentation, I'm going to guide you and share my knowledge that I gained in last 7 to 8 years. What we can do if we have the good collaboration between an industry and academia, and how we can push our masters as well as PhD students, or there are some brilliant students who are also working in their final year with the farms with the projects. So just allow me to share my PPT. Just a second. Oh, it's there. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is visible.
So if you are allowing me to put up my video, so that will help to get a better streaming of this presentation. Yeah.
Sir, you can share your video.
Sure, no problem. Just a second. Yeah.
Just while sharing, sir, you
Yeah.
when the window will open for sharing, you have to just do the 2 ticks you have to do at the bottom of that window.
Okay.
so that it will allow a proper audio as well as video clip.
Sure. So visit my screen is visible and audio is also visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So as we just a second. So as we are know that today this chemical industry particularly. So this chemical industry, which is the backbone of India's industrial and agriculture development particularly, right? So to achieve the industry's ambitious growth targets, we require a combination of policies, right? We require intervention at company level, right? We also require good academic and industry partnerships. Most importantly, to do all the research activities, we require a wise investment particularly. And with this, when we start with starting a new products or process or services particularly, and to sell these products and services, we need a greater international access. It's not only India. We can sell this product to the various European as well as US states particularly. So you see the breakdown of the chemical sector. We know it's agro, bulk chemicals, petro, specialty, pharmaceuticals, and fertilizer and biotech, which is the evolving field. So we also know that this chemical industry, which is almost 2.1% of this GDP and almost 16% to our manufacturing sector. So we have almost 80,000 commercial products, which is having chemical nature. As we know, India is the sixth largest producer in the world, having value almost $93 billion, that is of 15. And out of this total market, we also know that this 7 lakh crore market, that is 7% of the total manufacturing sector. If you see the data from Ministry of Chemicals and Petrochemicals, under which we have our Department of Pharmaceuticals. In 2016, we have almost 11 lakhs crore sector, which is almost 12% of the total manufacturing sector, right? And from last 3 years, we are supposed to grow at a rate of almost 10% CAGR, right? So this chemical industry itself, which is a key enabler of economic growth, right? It starts from simplest cell phone to solar panels, right? They are produced by carbon-free energy to LED lights, which is also providing efficient lighting. So they all are made possible by chemical industry products, particularly. So knowledge and capital intensive building blocks for downstream industries. So we have various sectors under this. We can work as a formula scientist. We have a textile industry, we have paper industry, pen, soaps, detergents, pharmaceuticals, and among the others, right? We just learned that the major sectors inside the chemical area, right? But to start to looking out the need of the market, we must focus on the product design and R&D part. So this product design, we call it a cycle of continuous improvement over the time, right? So which basically consisted 5 stages. So we start with idea generation, product selection that suits for the market. Then we start to develop a product or process. And lastly, we launch. Until unless we launch, we can't say it's just a startup particularly, correct? So basically, we require good industrial design. We also require engineering team. We also have a good marketing team that can test the product to have a good market research, right? That is required to ensure the product innovations that is commercially successful. And to do all this activity, I said, we require extensive amount of investment, right? To launch the product inside the market, correct? So we require a core team particularly. So the core team started with our formulations, expertise. They specifically have a product knowledge. We also require a good support from chemical engineers, particularly. Until unless we have support for process development by the chemical engineers, we can't move toward the scale up. And we also have to join a good hand of the marketing peoples, right? And all this, they're controlled by particularly steering committee. So I look the startups. You start with particularly developing a new product, right? We call it a new product development for the particular market, correct? So it refers to original product improvement. You can also start with modifications and also the new brands that was developed from the firm's own research and development. But another area, the today's venture capitalists, they're also starting. If you're looking at the Shark Tank India, right? It's daily 9 p.m. on Sony TV, right? So there's multiple bigger angel investors. They're starting to acquisition the small companies. So you either buy that whole company, or you buy that particular patent, or you license them, right, to do the product, right? So basically, the product design particularly, I see the procedure by which the customer's needs, they're translated into a commercial product. In our particularly field, in pharmaceuticals particularly, the customer needs, the needs maybe the patients, the needs of the formulation aspect, or the needs of the doctors. So all these needs, when we grab together to develop the commercial products, right? Inside the formulation itself, as we all know, we have two major sectors, right? We have formulations and we have the API industry, correct? The formulation API industry, I define them the needs of industrial customers particularly. In the latter part of my presentation, you're going to see how these customers, industry customers, they have small requirements for the processes, also for the products. And this needs can help to develop so many projects that can also be one of the startups. Consumers, in the consumer category, I grab them inside the either doctors or patients particularly, correct? The product design brings together the product and process development because they belong together, correct? So this was a small strategy for product development particularly, correct? So you have a brand particularly, and that brand belongs to a particular product, correct? So based on brand name, filing a trademark, correct, for a particular product, and the design, which is a started process in which the process technology, the formulation person, correct, and the various possibilities of setting, they can come together. So we ultimately working on three basic requirements. It's a handling aspect, the performance of the product, correct, and the aesthetic, which is the elements of the product design, correct. The successful product development, which is ensured, I say, particularly by the chemistry, formulation, and the chemical engineering. We all working together at our college level, our institute level. Everyone started to developing the product, but we also involve some of the chemical engineering students to scale up the particularly technology process. And we also involve some of the marketing guys, right? Because they know the market and they also link with the customers. So inside the formulation part, we can play with the three phases, right? We have solids, solid liquids, and liquids. So inside the solid itself, in the API industry, so I'll tell you my experience when we were working with Ajanta Pharmaceuticals. We all know for improvement of solubility of BCS class 2 molecules, we started to developing so many nanoparticles, solid dispersions, and all the stuff. But the industry particularly look out the micronized form of APIs. So we will resolve so many subsequent unit operation process. right? I'll tell you, there are one company in Boisar itself. So this guy who is a chemical engineer who started to just micronizing the APIs, and he has a large client base from last 5 years. In fact, there's one typical dosage form. We all know that the ophthalmic ointments, ophthalmic suspensions. So the IP suggests the micronized API, and they should be less than 5 micron. So the most of the API manufacturers, the base API manufacturers, so the product they sell to the formulation persons, particularly, this between the range of 200 to 500 microns. And when we start to developing these products at R&D level, we don't have that micronized API. And in fact, the available process, right, with the jet mill or ball milling, they don't efficiently work at our institute level, right, to get a typical PhD particularly. So this guy has started micronizing the APIs. In last 5 years, he is having the client base of Ajanta, Zydus, Cipla. So he just started micronizing powder. We can also start working with suspensions, nano emulsions and emulsions. We all know this is just a simple example of sodium perborate, right? It's a bleaching agent, right? So we can start that conversion of that finely powder of sodium perborate to a particularly, just a second, I need to take a call this. Yes, we are back. So now we see the today's product of sodium perborate, particularly with the replacement of the finely available sodium perborate. Now companies are selling the granulized form of sodium perborate, and this particular technology of putting this with stabilizer, they help to have the better performance of sodium perborate. Right. So we all know the specification of the products particularly, right? So we can start various characterization techniques, right? We can play with particle size, we can play with crystallinity, right? With respect to various aesthetic properties in cosmetic industry particularly, we can play with sides, the particular form of pigments, right? The whiteness of titanium dioxide, right? And with respect to formulation part, we can also have the particularly various characteristics, right? Correct. So why I told you this particularly NPD part particularly, because to start a new startup, we need to have the requirements particularly, correct? And the requirements, it is either a gap in market, or when you're existing player, you have new consumer pressures, correct? Also, if there's a drop in consumer loyalty or loss in market share. And in fact, when you have a new idea, correct, you can launch to particular market, correct? Right? It's always an innovation process, correct? So we also know the evolution, correct? Evolution of television sets. From last so many years, the television sets, now they're evolved to a curved ultra high definition televisions, right? Look at the 20 years back picture, correct? So what best of the today's, I'll say, startups in our pharmaceutical industry. Correct? All of you heard this company called Granules India, right? Correct? So when we started to do our practicals of pharmaceutics, right? So we were taught that to make a tablet, right? So we need to have that unit operations, right? Weighing, mixing, granulation, drying, correct? Compression, coating, and packaging, right? 7 to 8 unit operations particularly, correct? So that we called as the batch process, right? We need to wait to get the good granules that are ready to compress. So this Granules India particularly, so they have launched the concept called as drum to hopper, right? And we all know that is the directly compressible APIs, correct? So this small change in the particle size about drug itself, they help to reduce various unit operations in our industry. And if you visit the website of Granules India, they are just simply working on 4 to 5 major APIs, right? Which is volume-based APIs, right? We all know the volume-based APIs like metformin, we have ibuprofen, correct? These are the 2 major APIs who's having huge demand worldwide, correct? So these are some of the areas where I was extensively working for product extension as well as the new product innovation from last 5 to 6 years particularly. I also specifically working on pesticide industry. In the last year, I was working with water soluble granules, also powder for reconstitutions. I recently started to developing a pH modified pesticides. Okay. In specialty chemicals, we have one project from one company where we are starting to develop anti-dust paints particularly, correct? And when we were in ICT, with respect to help of polymers department, we started to develop anti-jump paint. It was on a 4 years back project. But if you see the today's advertisement of Nerolac or Asian Paints, now this project or this product, it has been already launched in market. But in personal care segment particularly, we extensively work on to improvise the formula, to launch various pack sizes. So I extensively work on vitamin C anhydrous gel particularly. So all of we know that vitamin C is very good vitamin for when we use topically, but the major problem with vitamin C is its stability. It's very prone to moisture, air, light, right? And it is not compatible with aqueous base particularly, right? You take an example of particularly serum or vitamin C creams particularly. It is not compatible with water. We also started working with physical sunscreens. So those are some of the brands that I already developed for Sony companies, and they were launched by various companies like Oaknet, BioNova, it's Hyderabad-based company, and this is Koji team. This is by KLM Laboratories Surat particularly. So these are some 5 representative pictures where we can start to improvise the formulation. So this Oaknet Hair Care, which consists some of the liposomal caffeine, which helps to penetrate the thicker scalp region particularly. I'll tell you the story of the Zore API, Zore anti-pollution sunscreen. So we launched this product in 2017 for Oaknet Healthcare. It was the first product particularly which consists some anti-pollution ingredients. And this particular product also have 8 hours water repulsion. So these are the 2 patents particularly. Both are now granted by Indian Patent Office particularly. When I was in my last year of PhD, we were working with Shirwar ACG Pharma Technologies. So they have developed the hot melt extrusion machine for an beta trial particularly. So we're extensively working with the R&D team, and we work to develop the method for ibuprofen. for DC granules. Now this technology has been licensed to the Granules India particularly. This patent particularly now is waiting to give to one or two companies, right? So what we can do in healthcare sector, right? So today's healthcare sector, they're looking for more value. They also require better outcome for less amount of price particularly, correct? So we are lagging with the better innovations particularly. We need some more innovations particularly, correct? So it's required by life science companies. Government is also facing rising cost, correct? Inconsistent outcomes particularly. So the overall objective to improve the care, the health outcomes while reducing the cost and spending particularly, correct? Today, people are very crazy with the word called more for less, right? Correct. So we require breakthrough performance of some of the technologies, correct? When you see the more for less, I define them in any combination of activities or technologies that break existing performance of trade-offs in the attainment of outcomes in a manner that expands the real amount possible, right? And more for the less, correct? What we require more value. We want better outcomes. We also require greater convenience. So it may be the access or simplicity, but all for the less cost and lesser complexity, correct? So you can also consider the less time required by the patient and the providers, correct? So these are the top 10 healthcare innovations, right? We can do good job in sequencing part. We have 3D printed devices, correct? We can also have good work in immunotherapy, AI. So many people's working in artificial intelligence, right? The point of care diagnostics, correct? Virtual reality, virtual OPDs, correct? There are so many startup companies who started. It may be the Paracto, it may be the 1MG, right? It may be the health cart. In the pandemic time, they realized the virtual reality platform, correct? I'll also take an example of the social media platforms, right? It might be the WhatsApp, it might be the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They also started leveraging the social media to improve the patient experiences, correct? Some people, they are also started working in biosensors and tracking technologies particularly, correct? Convenient care, retail clinics, correct? Retail generic medical shops particularly, where we can have the good access of and affordable medicines particularly. The telehealth. 10 years back, government started with telehealth. Now this pandemic has realized the more benefits of the telehealth particularly. So what we can do for the better startups, right? I said the innovative products to the market particularly. I'll tell you one story of a project we were working in my first year of ICT particularly. So all of we knew that vitamin B12, right? So we have so many people, they are deficient with this vitamin B12. But we also know this vitamin B12, which is an essential vitamin, with largely non-vegetarian source particularly. In fact, 47% of Indian population, they are deficient with vitamin B12. So an adult human, they require almost 2.4 microgram per day for a daily nutrition. In fact, when we were studying the literature from the absorption of vitamin B12, we found a good clinical study and good clinical research article. It was a good scientific data from Lancet particularly by one of the doctor from Delhi. He has done extensive study and he mentioned almost 12% of human Indian population, they are lacking one intrinsic factor, which is a carrier, which is responsible for absorption of vitamin B12, which is missing in the Indian population. So we find out there are so many products currently available in different domains, right? So they are under the medications, right? We have an allopathic preparation, correct? There are some intramuscular injections of vitamin B12, B1, B2, B6, and B12. So last, these two products, they are under the food supplement category. So we started, this was a project sponsored by Merck particularly, from the Singapore office particularly. So we simply started to designing the product, and we came to conclusion a simplest multi-zone tablet that can bypass the hepatic metabolism. We added few of the lecithin as a permission enhancers that can solve the problem of faster absorption through the suboral mucosa. So we also done a stability data of 6 months. Now this project, since we just changed the formulation, we are directly into the phase 3 clinical trial at one of the location in Bangalore particularly. So in just 3 or 4 months, we are about to getting the final reports of the clinical studies. So this company is about to launch this product. I'll tell you one news clipping particularly from the Sakal newspaper particularly, right? It was the Dr. Ravindra Vora from our Sangli city. So he has made a study on the folic acid, vitamin B12, the deficiency in the particularly adolescent girls particularly. So he found this 3 vitamins, folic acid, vitamin B12, they can have lots of impact on our human bodies particularly, right? So he just developed the preparation, a simple tea fortified with vitamin B12 and folic acid. And he has made a good clinical study, and he mentioned his findings in one of the British journal, right? So why he has mentioned particularly? Because in 60% of the Indian girls, they're deficient with folic acid. The 80% girls, they're deficient with vitamin B12. And almost 1.1 lakh new babies, they came in this world with less developed brain and having issues with CNS system. And this newborn babies have issues such as excess brain spinal fluid, NICOM, or having small hole in spinal cord particularly. And due to this abnormality during the birth, that leads to lifelong physical disability. And it's a very painful condition to take care of this physically challenged child particularly. And that leads to excess spending on medical expenses. And that also hampers the life of their normal siblings. So here he has suggested very, very innovative product, a fortification of folic acid vitamin B12 with tea. And the reason he mentioned that we all know tea, which is a widely used drink in Indian families, either a rich or a poor, right? Everyone prefers tea while meeting or on a day-to-day life, correct? But looking at this news article, I was searching whether it is any product available in the market particularly, but we didn't find any product. So I visited the doctor. So he helped me to give this formula particularly. But I'm not sure I can launch through my company, but I can share this idea. If you have good network with the food suppliers, you can work to launch this innovative concept in market under the FSI license particularly. We all know how this COVID, right? Point of care diagnostics, they help us to diagnose with the COVID-19, right? So they reduce the convenience. They allowed us for convenience, timely and testing at point of care particularly, right? You may at home, you may at your office, right? That results in faster and more cohesive patient care. There's another innovative product particularly. I'll tell you a case study of this detection kit for BV particularly. Till date, there is no product in market for the BV, correct? So basically, this BV is an overgrowth of bad bacteria in the vagina particularly, correct? So there's multiple causes, correct? It may be the unprotected sex, perfumes, antibiotics, or frequent douching particularly, correct? But this normal lactobacilli particularly, microorganism, which is the predominant flora, when it is replaced by an anaerobic bacteria such as Gardnerella vaginalis or Mycoplasma hominis, correct? They rupture the premature membranes, right? That leads to preterm delivery. At a rural level, the problem of BV is very, very high. And to deal with this particular problem, the rural females, they have to reach to the nearest hospital, which is almost 40 to 50 kilometers away from their home. If we have some small point of care diagnostic device, we can detect this BV at our home, right? So why I thought this was one of the product, because since we have the pregnancy detection kits, right? They're basically depend on some of the hormones, right? So I thought my product will be either detection of change in pH, since lactobacilli, when they consume some of the food material, they started to giving the lactic acid, where we have a pH around 3 to 4. But when this Gardnerella vaginalis and Mycoplasma, we have pH which is more than 7, right? Or we can also start detection of certain enzymes that were secreted by particularly Gardnerella vaginalis or Mycoplasma. Okay. So in the last, I'll tell you our story of our Novatra Lab Private Limited particularly. So we were founded in 2017 at Thane. So we have one office in Thane West. And I was taking extensively support from our research laboratory at ICT Mumbai, my research guide, Professor Amin. We are providing innovative products to healthcare industry, which are particularly formulation based, but having sound scientific knowledge support particularly. So with the support of ICT Mumbai, so I have developed almost 8 first of its kind innovative product to the domestic market particularly. So these are the 3 brands I'm having extensively in Western Maharashtra particularly. This vitamin C and proanthocyanidins, they're basically from grapeseed extracts. So we have registered brand name for Novi piles for the management of piles. We also have one very good topical lotion and an herbal tablet for management of varicose veins, where we have also done a small clinical studies. And this 2 products, based on these 2 products, we have submitted the data for recognition from Government of India. So we got a recognition for innovative brands, vitamin C and grapeseed extract tablet, and Ventone tablet particularly, and Ventone lotion. So we are recognized by Government of India as a startup particularly. And we also have the innovative product that is Luliconazole 1% cream. So the simplest product, everyone know this belongs to BCS class 2. So where we have added one ingredient, lecithin, which acting as a permission enhancer. If you see the innovator's patent from the Japanese company, you'll find that the innovator has an added MCT and isopropyl myristate as a permission enhancer. And in the patent itself, you find there are multiple studies where he mentioned the permeation across the thick stratum corneum layer. So we have done clinical studies where we found a product with the help of lecithin, which is almost 2.5 times higher permeation data as compared to market product. So this particularly tablet, I'll tell you the story of this Novi piles. So when I joined my rural area, I was searching for the data for the good products that can help to treat the piles particularly. There are multiple Ayurvedic preparations where there are n number of herbal ingredient that has been added. But when we take that particular herbal ingredient or Ayurvedic preparations, the most of the ingredients, they get degraded in an acidic fluid or the alkaline pH of intestine. So when we were looking out the base problem of this particularly issue of piles, I was searching some of the good nutraceutical ingredients that can help to support the finding of clinical studies. So this vitamin C and proanthocyanidin from grapeseed extracts in one of the clinical studies was very, very high rate of success with respect to second degree and third degree of piles particularly. But we also developed an colon targeted tablet of vitamin C, which can release the drug at a site of action. So we have coated this particularly tablet with udragic polymers that can dissolve at the site of action. So this is how one of the leading brand of our company now all over the Maharashtra with the multiple distributors, they are supporting us for this product. I'll tell you my story of this Venton brand particularly. We all know that varicose veins, right? So today there are only two medical options, medical drugs we are having. One is calcium dobislate, another is the micronized purified fraction of flavanol particularly, which was selling by company Ceridia. I was searching whether we can have some good herbal actives that can be good option for the management of this varicose veins. I found that there is one particularly promising plant called a horse chestnut extract particularly. So I was reading data from this particularly plant and I found that yes, this particularly horse chestnut extract having three potential activities. One is an antioxidant activity, second anti-inflammatory, and third is antioxidant activity. So most of the people has published the research articles on these three activities. But from last 5 years, people have started to extracting the purest form, which is responsible for these three activities. And that was ecin particularly. There's a major ingredient in this horse chestnut. But there's one company I'll tell you in Bangalore particularly, they succeeded to separating the two isomers of this ecin particularly. You can find there are so many companies who are selling you the plain extract, which is almost 2,600 rupees per kg. But that Bangalore company, when we approach for this purified form of ecin, so there are two basically polymorphs, alpha and beta. And this particular company, they not just succeeded in separating, but they also done a small clinical studies where they found the alpha form, which is orally active, and the beta form particularly, which is a topically active. So we made a combination of these two herbs with this purified alpha and beta form. We made an oral tablet. We also made a topical lotion with another two ingredients. And we also filed a patent for this combination of three herbs particularly. And we are waiting for publishing this data. I was supposed to launch this product by December, but due to some waiting from the FDAs to get particularly licenses, it is delayed. But in next 2 or 3 months, I'm supposed to launch this. Right? So need, solution or product is nearby you only. So we have to look out to the nearest area to see the product fit particularly. And there are ample scientific knowledge is open. We need to dig, we need out the information particularly. But before doing the launching, we must take, or we also do the market analysis that can fit to the innovative product. And as a college researchers, we have lots of experts. And when the students from third year or final year or master student, when they have good ideas, they should talk to the experts. And I also suggest everyone, whenever you got the good ideas, you must protect your ideas. You either generate the good trade names and file them for the protection to get the trademarks. Whatever the concepts you are having, you either start, filing a provisional or complete specification for the patents. Correct. And if you have good concepts, it might be the nutraceuticals, it might be the medical devices, or it might be the purest in allopathic preparation. There are, I'll tell you, so many commercial angles. If you have some nutraceuticals or herbal preparations, take this support from the FSI particularly. We can launch as a nutraceutical, we can launch as a functional foods, but we need to see the thorough guidelines from the FSI particularly. And if you have the good novel preparations, nano preparations, we can take support from the good industries. They are ready to support your ideas particularly. But to have a good, successful startup, we should have a mixed culture. It's not only the formulation person, but it's also the pharmacologist, the chemical engineers, and the marketing guys. We need to involve. My team at Novitra Lab, we have 4 persons from different areas. One of my partner who is a marketing MBA from Pumba, that's Pune University Management Department. We have also team member Mrs. Ankush Kavade, who is a chemical engineer from AICTE, and myself, the formulation expert to develop the product. Correct. We understood when we have at institute level, we have lots of pressures, lots of work, but the most important thing, we should never lose our hopes, right? Okay, thank you so much. If you have, I'm finished with my presentation. If you have some questions, you can ask, or if you have some points to discuss, we can share to discuss some of the questions.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a nice presentation. Yes, participants, you can directly ask a question if you have, or you can put your question in the chat box also. Or even you can share your views, your ideas, or your that experiences with sir.
In the recent days, from last 6 months, I was extensively working with stabilization of hydrogen peroxide. There's one product you might aware, right? I was in, I shifted from last 6 months to a native place. We in Sangli district, we have lots of issues with grape production. I'll tell you, the farmers in this area, they are facing so many troubles from nature, so many troubles from the ecoflora, microorganisms. So each and every day, each and every season, they are struggling with the problems. So there are 2 basic diseases they are struggling. One is called as mildew and downy. So the people, they are using so many harmful chemical pesticides. So I was searching some of the good eco-friendly disinfection and particularly anti-infective agents. That hydrogen peroxide, I was searching the global products. I'll tell you, there's one company called as Virox Technologies from Canada, Ontario. So this company, with just a single stabilized hydrogen peroxide, this company has filed multiple patents across the world. And from last 20 years, they're selling the stabilized preparation of hydrogen peroxide. They're not only in agriculture, they're also selling the product to healthcare industry, hospitals, institution supply. I see there's also one company who has succeeded to the mark of that particular Virox patent, Chemtex, which is a Kolkata-based company. But I'll see both these companies, they are not affordable to the common man. I also visited so many hospitals. Are you using the newer methods of disinfection, such as this hydrogen peroxide disinfection? But since they all are aware the multiple uses of hydrogen peroxide, but it is the cost they are troubling while using this particular product. So me and my team, We are extensively working from last 6 months to stabilize the higher concentration of hydrogen peroxide. It is almost 50% concentration, which is usable. Some companies, they're also making 80%, but they are for the next subsequent processes. But the challenge is to stabilize that hydrogen peroxide. We are up to the mark. We are about to get some data from one of the agriculture institute of our product for spraying on crops, particularly grapes. You can also see, I suggest everyone, we should not work on multiple projects. If we have some small idea, we should have a deeper understanding about the problem. And when we see the products, you'll find the applications. I'll tell you this, particularly in my Venton tablet, it took me almost 3.5 years to come to conclusion to select the right 3 ingredients. You can see the online market. You can also see the SIMS or drug today. There is no product in India itself for the management of varicose vein. And in fact, in my presentation, I told you that 2 ingredients. That one is calcium dobislate, the other one is the micronized purified fraction of flavonoid. So they both products from the same company called as Ceridia, and other company is called as Zydus. They are not indicating them for varicose vein. They're specifically indicating for the piles management. So the most of the medic fraternity, they're also not aware of the condition. So there's a huge scope for developing the product for the unmet needs. Okay, yes. I'm finished from my end. If you have students, if you want to interact, they can ask. Or I'm sharing my email ID. You can start writing emails to me. I'm always there for finalizing your ideas.
Yes, participants, if you have any queries, you can ask or put your questions in chat box also.
I just dropped down my email ID.
Yes,
Okay.
so we will be sharing those same with all the participants for the speakers. So if they have any ideas which needs to be discussed with you, they can really write to you.
Yeah, you can discuss if you want some guidance,
right,
to fine tune the ideas. Can also help you. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, Kulkarni sir.
It was very great presentation, sir. You have told us various areas where to work, like varicose veins also. So actually, I was working with some formulation on the scars that we have, and
right.
I'm working with one plant which has the property to reduce it a bit, because that is kind of for the cosmetic applications.
Correct.
But I just wanted to know whether to go for formulations mandatorily, or can extract be also can extract also be protected? Because you have said a few of the extracts are there as in the market directly. So when I consulted with one patent agent, he said that it is better that you convert that into a formulation.
Correct. Since we all know, sir, Abhijit sir, that instead of using pure extract, if we can develop some dosage form that is user friendly to the patients, that is the first requirement, right? But I also suggest if you can take support from pharmacology person, first prove its activity, anti-scar activity. Secondly, if you have a good connections with the particular extraction person, find out which is the active responsible for that particularly scar reduction, right? And if you can start to separating those ingredients, I see 2 possibilities. First is the method of extraction. You can file patent for process, right? Yes. Secondly, if you have that purified extract and if you incorporate inside the formulation, you have currently one option to launch under an Ayurvedic preparation or as a herbal medicine. So you can have a separate patent on particularly both the process as well as formulation. Okay. Where you simply require established data of 3 months. You can also try with cosmetic license, where the cosmetic license, you don't require any clinical study. You just require final confirmation with the specification, that is method of analysis. Yes, whatever that I have been added inside my formulation, it is there with a validated method, and that simplest data is acceptable by the FDA inspectors. Okay. You can also working with this.
Okay, so I'll be needing your expert advice in this, sir. I'll be contacting with you, sir.
Sure. No problem, sir. But before, you can also think, Ajit sir, to protect the brand name, right?
Yes.
The simplest filing of trademark to an individual person that can cost you just 4,500 rupees.
Yes.
File
Yes,
first trademark. Okay, and also in the meantime, you start differentiating two ideas, an isolation and also the formulation aspect.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, participants, any other queries? Okay, sir. I also have one question. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir, very simple questions. What new innovations are there in the healthcare industry, and how the digitalized things are impactfully or are means that affecting healthcare system? The digitalization, how
Okay,
it is
yes.
impacting, or how it is yes, in healthcare system, in which form it is presenting, or in which form it is affecting our healthcare system, modern digitalization.
Yes,
that,
madam. See,
technologies.
digitalization helped in many ways, right? Today,
Yes, sir.
while taking the consultations with the expert doctors, right? Did you know, I'll just tell you my story, how the digitalization has been helped. My father was diagnosed with mucormycosis, and we were taking the treatment from hospitals in mirrors. Now the post-COVID complication, it started to showing the various problems. Now, as a pharma person, I know what are the complications that we can already find on our various Google platforms, right? So there was, when it done the simplest MRI, it was having a back pain. So we found there was one infection called infective spondylolisthesis. In our whole Western Maharashtra, did you know, we don't have a single infectious special doctor. So my particular spine surgeon has suggested there are multiple doctors in Pune city. They are, I was just taking consultation from Dr. Parikshit Prayag. He has Dinanath Mangesh Hospital. Did you know, my doctor suggested you go and meet personally to show you your reports and all the stuff. But before going, you just have a first con call with the doctor. Did you know, doctor said, sir, why to visit Pune from Sangli? When we have a digitalized online consultations, you just pay the consultation charges. I'll give an OPD, online OPD. And you know that particularly online OPD, it's in particular virtual mode. I feel I was in their OPD itself. So that is the digital form. Did you know there's one company in Mumbai called Docplex? They have made a digitalization of prescriptions, and we all are aware the importance of prescriptions, right? And it is very, very important with respect to narcotics, psychotic, and sleep medications, right? So most of the time, our retail chemists, they either fail to protect or store the prescriptions, correct? So this company which was founded by biomedical engineers. So they have made it digital prescription services, right? Each doctor, such as we have our Facebook account, they have the record. Whatever patient they treat, when they write prescription, it digitally goes to the medicine shop. He can store in his database. Whenever the drug inspector anytime reaches for inspection, he have the whole data in just a single tablet. So that was the one of the innovations. Now people started in our healthcare industry to see the problems of our, when I said in my presentation, you have the problems of our retail chemist, you have problems with respect to doctors. Did you know, madam, there's another one, Amaravati guy, who's also a pharma background. If anyone has the retail medicine shop, I'll tell you a story, how this distributor firms, they are grabbing the schemes, the offers when offered by the manufacturing companies. So suppose my particular product, that Nove Piles or Lulivate, we give 20% scheme to the retail chemist, and that scheme has given to the distributor. But most of the time, the retail chemists, they are unaware that the Novetra lab is having an official scheme, 20% scheme. When they purchase 10 tubes of my Lulivate, they can also get 2 tubes free, right? So this Amaravati guy has made one app where the major manufacturing companies, they share their offers, their free items, and they can be accessed by the retail chemist. So this helped to grab the confidence, the satisfaction with respect to distribution chain. That was a simple problem faced by most of the retail chemists. Yes, I hope with these two examples, you have understood how the digitalization has helped in our healthcare sector to solve the problems.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yes, as we all know, this era is a modern era and digitalized era. So sir has given very good explanation how digital technology will be very helpful in case of even healthcare industry, and how we can find the innovative solution by using that digitalized technology. Okay, now if participant, if you don't have any questions, so can I summarize this session, Dr. Vividha, madam?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now time to sum up. So sir has started with many points. He has taken like the product design, research, development, and the startup assembly, and also the handling, performance, etc. for product designing and innovation in healthcare sector. And also sir has very means easily they made understood to all of us like the strategic capabilities and strong ability in commercialization. How to we convert that our product in the commercialization area from startup to implementation and then commercialization, and how we can find the creative problems in case of our healthcare product in short-term result with a long-term perspective. And basically they have emphasized that product they have designed or the usefulness of these products, and also focused on delivering innovative, scientifically proven technologies, especially in healthcare sector. So thank you so much, sir, for your explanation in this topic. And I hope your knowledge, your experiences, and your views will be very helpful for our participant in their future endeavor. So thank you so much, sir, for being with us. And yes, this is the certificate of recognition from our side, from Pune College of Pharmacy.
Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you, Santosh sir, for spending
sir,
your
very welcome.
valuable time and sharing your ideas and your experiences with us. So this was going to be really valuable for all the faculty members as well as our PG and PhD students who had joined the session. And shortly they will be asking you for your help, of course. So
I'm
we will be
always there.
sharing- Yes, sir.
Yes, we need more startups from our healthcare
Yes.
sector,
Right.
and also specifically from our pharma field.
Exactly.
They're
sir.
lagging behind when we compare with the engineering guys and other stuffs, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right, sir.
We should help each others.
Yes,
to
sir. We
build
should come together
more
and help each other.
startups.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
very
you, sir.
much.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you,
Yes.
sir.